The Korean warrant for SDF, also known as Mr. Choi, was dismissed. Why was it dismissed? What do we know about it? And what happens next? We're about to find out. What's up, guys? It's Derp here with another video about the Dark and Darker court case. This time we're looking at the dismissal of the Korean warrant for SDF's arrest. What I'm going to cover is what happened. Did Mr. Choi go to jail? Why was it dismissed? I'm going to clear up some misinformation. What happens next? And then I'm going to wrap up with a quick TLDR and timeline update at the end. So if you want to just kind of figure out the long and short of it, just jump right straight to the end. I'm going to try to put a link in the description. Before we get into the video, I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who's been watching live, who's been subscribing, leaving comments, and joining the guild. There's a huge thank you to everybody shown here for the supers, membership, and support. I can't do this without you guys. If you want to get your name in the scroll, click the membership links for the guild below, by either joining the Patreon or YouTube memberships. But yeah, let's jump right into it. What happened? Did Mr. Choi go to jail? So according to MTN News, and a news outlet in Korea, a bunch of stuff happened. But the truth is, we don't know if Mr. Choi was actually sent to jail or not. The article is entirely in Korean. I've only viewed AI translations and Google translations with a little bit of localization done by like randos on Reddit. So I'm getting as much of this out. I'm getting as much out of it as I can. But if you want to read it for yourself, feel free. I'm going to have the link in the description. So without having a clear understanding of the translation, we know he went to the courthouse. He possibly actually did go to jail for a little bit, but whether at the courthouse or in jail, he awaited the decision for the warrant. He went in he turned himself over to await for the warrant. Regardless of whether or not he was actually in jail for a time is something kind of beyond the point, because the end result was that the warrant was dismissed as of earlier this morning. So SDF is officially back to work developing the game that we all love, and I couldn't be happier to hear it. Like, I am so happy that SDF is not in jail. Thank you, SDF. You are a champion, and I wish you nothing but the best. I hope you stay out of jail. This game rules. Please finish it, and please, get it to early access. We love you guys. But more importantly, why was it dismissed? And what's up with everything people are saying on Reddit and on YouTube and everywhere? What's actually true, what's not? So we know it was actually dismissed and Mr. Choi is safe now. So it's time to get into the meat of the issue. First and foremost, the arrest warrant was dismissed, not the criminal case. Nothing in the translation states that the criminal case was vacated or dismissed, just the warrant. What it does cover is that the more important issue right now is going to be the civil cases, not the criminal case. So, and if we're looking for more information of how the cases are going to shape up, we should look to the civil cases, but it doesn't say anywhere that the case was actually vacated. That's a mistranslation and a misunderstanding of a poor Google translation. Only the warrant was dismissed. To add to this, it was dismissed because the court didn't feel that Mr. Choi was a flight risk or that he would be able to destroy any evidence. They've already held 2 investigations. They most likely have all of the evidence they would find already. I mean, they've been looking for 2 years, right? So according to the article in question, they didn't dismiss the case or the warrant because of a lack of evidence against Mr. Choi. Like, it just didn't happen. That's not reality. This is from the article itself. It is interpreted, the court dismissed the warrant, judging that it is difficult to see that Mr. Choi is at this point in danger of further destroying evidence or escaping. It is easy to misunderstand or misconstrue things when reading poorly translated information. So be careful. Be careful when other people are reading translated stuff and don't really understand what they're reading. Be careful when you read translations, especially by AI or Google. There's a reason why these things aren't certified under court to use. Unfortunately, it's just the only source of information we have until people start doing localized translations of these articles. This is all we have to go off of, right? Is Google translations, poor AI translations. So if anybody knows a Google or a Korean translator, hit me up. Another piece of poor translation is the part about confusion as to why the warrant was issued. When translated by Google or AI, it reads that the court or legal community was confused as to why the warrant was being issued. However, when read in a more localized translation, it reads closer to the publisher or confusion for the reader as to why it was issued. However, this is kind of loosely based on people from Reddit, so take it with a grain of salt. So before I give you the Reddit translation, I'm going to give you how it's translated by Google, the article. And the article itself says the prosecution and the police's request for an arrest warrant was accepted as unexpected. They put that not in quote, they like semi-quote it. This is because more than 2 years have passed since Mr. Choi stored in P3 development resources in a separate space, and the police conducted a search and seizure on 2 occasions and had completed collecting related evidence. So even in this poor translation, it's difficult to really draw a correlation to the court, the police, or the prosecution being confused about why the warrant happened. However, a Redditor who claims to be able to read or speak Korean posted a more clear translation as seen below. But remember, this is just some random dude on Reddit, so it's not exactly a scholarly journal or court translator. In Korean, the original text, there's no sentence that says the judge found the arrest warrant surprising or unexpected. I guess the translation showed such sentence, then it might be a mistranslation of the sentence. The prosecution police's request for arrest was accepted as unexpected. And then he goes on to say, then the rough translation gave you to fail comprehensive reading. So it seems like Google, or English is this guy's second language. This is because the original text does not even implicitly imply such content. For to whom it might be to the public, which is what they're saying is more likely. So in relation to the public or in relation to the editor himself is where the confusion is, or unexpectedness, not the court. So the way I find this translation is that the author or reader might be confused as to why the warrant was issued after 2 years, which I completely agree with. It is weird and it is confusing. I would love to know why they waited 2 years to issue a warrant. But that's not the same thing as the judge, the police, or the prosecution. Which leads me to my next point of information. The prosecution in the criminal case in Korea has nothing to do with Nexon. Anybody saying that Nexon is behind the warrant being pushed is inextricably false. Like that is just not possible. Unless something illegal is going on. To the best of my knowledge, and according to the U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics, .gov, the prosecution of the accused is conducted by a prosecutor who belongs to the Ministry of Justice and is appointed by the government. That's a quote from a government agency in the United States. This is similar to how the U.S. State Attorney handles federal criminal cases in the United States. It's not just some random lawyer from Nexon issuing warrants. That's not even close to how this works. They may or may not have waited until just now to formally press charges. That's how they might have instigated an arrest warrant, which would trigger a warrant. But that in itself would be highly suspicious behavior in court. Waiting 2 years to file formal charges against somebody is possible. At least I'm pretty sure it's possible. But from what I've read, like just straight up legal, or Nexon has no legal means to issue or request warrants themselves. They can't just be like, "Hey guys, down at the police station, I want you guys to go arrest this guy," and they're like, "Yes, sir, Mr. Nexon, let's go." That's not reality. Any speculation otherwise is basically conspiracy. It would mean Nexon broke Korean federal laws, as did the party who requested the warrant illegally, so the police. So that would mean that Nexon and the police are intertwined in some kind of federal offense, like some kind of felony conspiracy. And those are extremely bold claims that don't need to be flying around. So there's a lot of misconception here, or misinformation here. There's no great conspiracy going on. What ended up happening was the police are probably realistically, and this is me going off script and speculation on my part, but in my opinion, the most likely scenario is the simplest scenario. The police are probably just like, hey, well, we're not finding anything new. Let's try to push for this arrest warrant now. They found everything they can, If there is any evidence, they've already found it. They're not digging up anything new. They're not gaining access to anything new. And discovery is now closing on the civil case after the investigation. So nothing new is going to be forthcoming. So if there's going to be time for this case to go to trial, it would be right now, the criminal case. They might be waiting until after the civil case is settled down and they figure out the injunctions and then doing the criminal case because Mr. Choi is involved in both. But realistically, they're probably just doing it because they already have all the information they need. They're not going to be able to find anything else, and they know that. So if they're going to put out an arrest warrant, it would be around this time. It's probably as simple as that. Now, obviously, that arrest warrant was denied. This doesn't mean that Mr. Choi isn't going to go to jail. This doesn't mean that he can't go to jail. It means that he's not going to jail right now. It means that he's not going to await trial in jail. And it saves them from going through the bond process, right? So if he's not a flight risk and he's not going to be able to destroy evidence because they already have it, why would they put him in jail to pay a bond, just to pay a bond and then get out anyway? And it would be unnecessary to arrest him at this stage anyway, especially if they're awaiting trial. So what happens next, and what's the TLDR and the timeline update? So for now, there's not much we can do but wait. We're still waiting on the outcome of whatever happened on the 26th. That might take up to 2 weeks from that day. Hopefully we'll get news either tonight or Monday, but who knows? Pacer's servers are still having issues. Luckily, they have server maintenance scheduled for Sunday. So we should know more about the U.S. case on Monday at the earliest, or at the latest around August 9th. And that's just relating to whatever happened on the ECC or the FRCP 26 conference, at least to the best of my understanding. What that info will look like depends on the conference, how the conference on the 26th went. And I just put a little snippet in here of showing that Pacer, at least on my end, is showing that it's undergoing maintenance. And it's been having server issues for the past 4 days. So since the 25th. The 25th, either late 25th or early 26th, there's been some kind of server issues. It's probably us, to be honest. Just clicking refresh on Pacer. But they don't need to know that. After that, there's a few more dates coming up that are important for discovery, but shouldn't really be too enlightening to the general public. August 9th and August 23rd are important days. That's when the initial disclosure deadline is and the joint status report deadline. Basically, when each party they get together what each party wants for discovery, and they start presenting actual requests for information and stuff like that. And then they go over a status report. Hey, bird. As for Mr. Choi, we don't really know what's going to happen. He can still be arrested at some point. However, the next time that risk that should pop up would be towards the end of trial. And to the best of my knowledge, that hasn't even officially started yet. There's been an investigation for 2 years, and the trial is still pending. So when that will be, we have no idea. That's up to the Korean courts. The case is ongoing to the best of my understanding, and I have yet to see some kind of formal timeline. So if I were to assume, I would guess that the trial is somewhat imminent based on the fact that prosecution attempted to serve a warrant. That usually only happens right before the trial if the police think that the suspect might flee, or they feel that they have enough evidence to convict them on, or if they feel that they're at risk of destroying even more evidence, right? So why the prosecution issued the warrant is unknown and will probably remain unknown, but it's probably a simple answer of now was the time to do it because the trial's coming up soon. What we do know is what happened in similar cases with NCSoft versus Bluehole. At least one person was sentenced to 18 months of jail/prison time. That sentence, according to what I've been reading recently, was later commuted to time served. So essentially what the judge said was, you've been in trial for 2 years. You've already been to jail for at least a little bit and paid bond or whatever, or you've been dealing with the court for 2 years. So we're going to commute your sentence and give you 2 more years of probation, is what I've been reading recently. But again, translation issues make that a little bit unclear. Everything I'm reading that's translated from Korean is either done by Google Translation, AI translation, or very slowly with the help of friends. So if I was a betting man, I would say Mr. Choi will spend at least a little time in jail if he hasn't already, or get a few years of probation. There are already liens on his property in case he loses the case and is forced to pay some kind of restitution to Nexon. As far as I know, he hasn't actually lost anything yet, but the threat of him losing his home, cars, and other assets, as well as his freedom is still very real. For now, all we can do is hope and wait, right? We just hope that Mr. Choi stays out of jail. So please show the guy some support, get on the Discord, put in a quick "We love SDF," and show the guys at Iron Mace your support and that you're here with them. That's probably the best and the only thing we can really do right now. A warrant, and I want to make this very clear, a warrant is not an indicator of guilt. Until proven guilty, and possibly even after Mr. Choi is found, if he is found guilty, he deserves nothing but our respect, dignity, and kindness, right? He's fighting for us, he's fighting for the game, and he's fighting for something he loves and his dreams. So we should support that in any way possible. We should go on the Discord, go on the Reddit, and just, show how much you care about these guys and how much you want the game and what that would mean to you. Give them a little love. But what's the TLDR? Mr. Choi's arrest warrant was dismissed, and Google Translate sucks. Don't take what it says at face value. His warrant had nothing to do with the lack of evidence and was more about the police thinking he's a flight risk or capable of destroying the evidence, which the judge obviously didn't agree with. No, the judge isn't confused as to why they requested the arrest warrant. The author of the article is, or the people reading it. Lastly, Nexon has nothing to do with the prosecution. Federal crime cases are handled by the Ministry of Justice in Korea, not some biased corporate lawyer getting paid to screw people over. That's just a bunch of nonsense, so don't believe it. Again, I want to point out a slight correction to my last video. It may be possible that there was only one person at NCSoft versus Bluehole case that went to jail. That would be from Bluehole. That guy is now the CEO of Nexon Games. There are articles that read that they were sentenced to 18 months in jail. However, their sentence may have been commuted to time served in lieu of 2 years of probation or house arrest. It's hard to say because of the way it's translated. Again, it's a translation issue. I'm still digging into what the actual localized translation would be, and I'm talking to people who are way more knowledgeable about me on the subject of Korean law and the Korean language. I'm always going to try to do my best to update things with any new information, even if it's from like a 3-month, like if I'm finding new information about a video that's 3 months old, I'm still going to try to update you guys. So with that said, here's a quick update of the current timeline. The important dates related to the U.S. court cases are August 9th, which is the deadline for initial disclosures. I'm going to make a video about these two deadlines pretty soon because we kind of need to know what they are before they come up. And then August 23rd is the joint status report deadline. And then in Korea, what we know is sometime between around August 21st through September 21st is when the preliminary injunction hearing should happen. According to this article and others, most likely the end of August to early September. As always, you guys are all champions. I love you guys. I can't thank you enough for your continued support. If you're looking for more in-depth discussion, please check out my VODs from my live streams. They are usually somewhere from 2 to 6 hours long and hold a lot more information in a community podcast style format. I haven't went live in a little bit. I apologize. I plan on going live more. And I actually have a pretty big update planned that I want to talk about in a later video. But don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon, go do all the things. If you want to access more content, join the guild by following either YouTube membership or Patreon link below. You'll get your name in the intro scroll. It's just so everybody knows how awesome you are. And I'm working on making more exclusive content for members, like thank you messages and unedited videos that I'm posting early and stuff like that. I love you guys. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. Peace.